Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. This has been the day we have been waiting for. Will Sean Combs do any actual real prison time for what he's been convicted of? So before we go into all this, I like to take this moment to thank everybody who supported me thus far and invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook and everything else because I talk about cases that matter, the missing, the stalk, the dead, and now the highly publicized. So, as we stand right now, Sean Combs is in a New York courtroom right now. The judge has taken the stand or taken his seat, and they are talking about what they're going to proceed with today. Originally, one victim number two, Mia, was going to speak in front of the judge and give an impact statement, but that has since changed. Um, Her attorney or the prosecuting attorney is saying that due to Sean Combs's letter to the judge, they found that it was bullying that actually changed her mind and even testifying. And what people do not know or may not know is that the defense submitted a documentary style video of Sean Combs, doing charity work with his family, little clips. And there was a letter basically stating that, he deserves a second chance to be a better person. I mean, and that's not word for word, but I'm just surmising it. He's like, "Yes, I may have committed these crimes or I may have done bad things, but I deserve a second chance, and, prison has taught me anything, it's been that I deserve a second chance." So, you know, I don't think that is really true. Personally, I think, when you are that kind of flawed individual, let's say flawed, it's very hard to come back from something like that, especially when you have spent your entire life degrading other people, threatening other people, possibly, allegedly involved in the deaths of other people. So, I truly think that if he ever gets out, like if this ends today, like because prosecutors are going for, the 10 years per count. That's what they're going for. The defense is saying, "Okay, let's do 14 months." And he's been in jail all this time, so it's basically time served. So he would get out in a couple weeks. And I truly believe that if he gets out based on the defense's recommendations, anybody who testified against him in these court proceedings or gave any type of evidence are going to be in jeopardy. Their lives are going to be in jeopardy. Cassie Ventura did send a letter to the judge. Now, she's not going to be there in person, but she did send a letter stating that she fears for the safety of her family, herself and her family. I don't know. But right now, we've got little updates on CNN. So the defense attorneys, Brian Steele said, in addition to Sean Diddy Combs making a statement, so he's actually going to get in front of the judge and make a statement. Two or three of Combs's children and Dr. Reverend Johnson wish to speak on his behalf. Give, I guess, character statements. Steele said that the judge wants to hear from doctors who evaluated Combs. They're available in the courthouse. Defense also wishes to present someone regarding a reentry program. And prosecutor Christy Slavic points out that the individuals they wish to put forward all submitted letters and are featured on Combs's video and says the judge can decline to allow them to speak. So I guess that would be, you know, that'd be a lot right there. Now they did say no victims will speak in court today. And they said Slavic said Mia's change of heart was influenced in part by the defense letter, which Slavic called bullying. And then they said the tone of the defense's letter was inappropriate. And so I agree with Ms. Slavic on that point. Judge Arun Subramanian told defense. So judge is kind of lining up with the prosecution on this. The fact that Combs's defense team has asked repeatedly, can we get, bail? Can he get out? Can he be out, while you figure out sentencing? And the judges denied this every single time. I'm thinking he's going to probably at least get 10 years, you know, maybe split the difference, because the max he can get is 20, 10 years per charge. And he was convicted of 2 charges of the transportation for the purpose of prostitution. He was convicted of that. and each one has a max sentence of 10 years. So, if anything, I could see the judge giving him 5 years per each, which means he would get 10 years, or unless he makes them where he serves it concurrently, which means he would just do 5 years total, they'd both be served at the same time, but if he does it consecutively, then it'd be 5 years and then another 5 years. But, it could go either way, but I do think he's gonna get some time, and if he doesn't, I would be shocked. I would completely shocked. So, but he's supposed to this guy right here is supposed to, go in front of the judge and speak, and if we remember, during his entire trial all summer, he did not speak in his defense one time. He did not get up on the stand and talk and answer questions, which I think honestly was a smart move on the defense's side because Sean Diddy Combs is known to have a temper. So, if he gotten out there, they would have probably pushed it to make him explode, which would have hurt their case, and the jury would have looked at him unfavorably. Okay, we got a new update. Let's see what this is. Okay, so the judge is right now reviewing the pre-sentencing report. And, so it says Judge Arun Subramanian, I'm probably saying his name wrong, is now reviewing the pre-sentencing report and both parties' objections to it. Judge also said he's found that the court may consider acquitted conduct among the other factors when sentencing Sean Diddy Combs. The defense has opposed this idea when arguing for a lenient sentence for Combs. And now the prosecutor has gone on to say it appears the defense is trying to drown out the voices of the victims in favor of character witnesses. That, makes sense. Bring your children on. Now, here's the thing. Sean Combs's kids, you know, are going down the same path. These guys, let me see if I can find a picture of them real quick. Yep, there they are. These three here have all been accused of assault. All three of them beating up people, assaulting women. So they're learning from what they are seeing. Now, um, the guy with the man bun, now that is not Sean Combs's biological son, that is the son that he adopted. That boy is actually the son of, oh my god, Albie Sure. It's Albie Sure's son that he adopted. So, but the other 2 are Combs's natural biological children. But all 3 of them have been in trouble with the law and have been accused of assault and whatnot. So, there's that. So we are still waiting for the judge to give his view on this whole thing. And like I said, I truly believe that Sean Combs is gonna get some time. Now, I mean, we got, one of the bigger witnesses of this case, Cassie Ventura. Now she gave her history and she caught a lot of flack, like, "Okay, you were an abused victim. Why did you stay?" All that. And I'll even admit, I was a little confused by that because they didn't live in the same house. They didn't have any children together. So I was confused why she stayed as long as she did. But then as you find out, like, he had compromising video of her, um, he had her basically addicted to drugs and everything else and kinda held her career over her head, you know, that to me could make sense why she stuck around as long as she did. I don't know. But let me say this, I will say that Sean Combs, personally, in my opinion, has always wanted to be a gangster. Now, if we remember his history, that's his father right there in this picture with his mother, and that is a baby Sean Combs. Melvin Combs worked for Frank Lucas. And if you don't know who Frank Lucas is, if you remember the Denzel Washington movie American Gangster, that is Frank Lucas. He was a drug dealer, drug runner, drug kingpin out of New York that came up under Bumpy Johnson, and Bumpy Johnson was down around the time of, like, Lucky Luciano and, those gangsters out of New York back in the day. So, he took over for Bumpy Johnson when he died. Now, Melvin Combs worked under Frank Lucas, and Melvin Combs from it's been rumored that Melvin Combs had turned state's witness against Frank Lucas, and Frank Lucas had him killed. I don't know. I said, again, it's all alleged, nothing has ever been proven. But Melvin Combs was shot dead in his vehicle one night, and that is what happened to him. Now, Sean Combs was told growing up that his father died in a car accident and didn't really know the truth. But once he found out the truth, people close to Sean when they were growing up made it clear that he was obsessed with his father and obsessed with being like his father. So I think that truly is what caused him to be the person he is today, that type of reverence for his dad. So let's see, no more updates so far. We are still waiting on the judge to give his verdict. But these are thoughts that I've had about this case from the very beginning. This guy has never really been convicted of anything. He is, when you had the nightclub shooting where a woman got shot and lost an eye, and, where Jennifer Lopez was holding on to the gun and all that stuff, he walked away from that because somebody else took the blame. And now that person has since come out and said, I had nothing to do with this. This was all him. That's one thing. You have stories of him assaulting men, young men, for their, music career. You've got stories of him possibly being involved in the death of Tupac and Biggie Smalls in their shootings. Again, all alleged. All Nothing has been proven. But that's a lot of stories. That's a lot of stories for it not to have a little bit of validity to it, in my opinion, because it's rumors. Yes, I know. And my other thing is, why has Jay-Z not been added into any of this? Because they came up together. They were both new in the industry together. They grew up together practically. And I find it crazy that Jay-Z has not been sued, or I mean, he has been sued and that's been thrown out anyway. But why he's not taken more of a social hit on this, because I'm sorry, you've been friends with somebody for, like, almost 40 years, and you can't sit there and tell me you didn't know what he was doing behind closed doors? Come on, dude. I think you knew what he was up to, but that's just my opinion. I've never been a big fan of Jay-Z to begin with, so, maybe I'm a little biased. It could be, it is what it is. But we are still waiting on the judge to give its report, because I wish they had allowed cameras in the courtroom, because that would just be so much more compelling, but they didn't, because it's a federal case and they didn't wanna do all that. And like I said, I think he's gonna get some time. I really do. I think he's gonna get some time. And if he doesn't, anybody who testified against him might wanna leave the country, because I think he's that dangerous of a person. He has a lot of people that does things for him. Just like R. Kelly. R. Kelly, when he was testifying, he had his people, his agents going out there intimidating people and telling people, to get people to be quiet and all that. And I'm sorry, he was a dangerous man. He's still a dangerous man. And now he's been locked up for 30 years and he's there and he's not coming out, which is the best thing in the world. When you got somebody who's that kind of a predator, they should not be out. So we are still waiting on another update on the case. So, like I said, the last update we have is the judge is reviewing the pre-sentencing report, and he's hearing objections to the report, but they have not updated anything else. So we are waiting on basically, we're waiting on him to give a sentence. So, like I said, the defense is pushing for time served. Prosecution is going for at least 10 years, and he's eligible to get 20. So we shall see. But, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here for right now, but once we get the actual verdict or actual sentencing, we already got the verdict, but once we get the actual sentencing, I will be back on, but sounds like this could take a little while. But he is in the courtroom, the judge is going over the facts of the case, and there's not gonna be anybody on the prosecution side that's gonna be speaking to the judge, but the defense has people that want to speak, including Sean Diddy Combs. So, like I said, this will be compelling. I just wish they had a camera in there, but I will be back, and you guys just let me know what you think.